My name is Dr. Michael Brown, and this is 3 Words, a bite-sized podcast about the significant choices that we can all make in order to be fully alive. And there's no better way to feel alive than to laugh out loud. And that's the conversation I have with my good friend Casey Greenawalt today in the 3 Words podcast studio. To remember that life is precious, that it's sacred, and that there's so much joy even in the midst of hard times. And so I think you'll really, as you lean into this conversation, walk away feeling more alive and more fulfilled. So listen in. Casey Greenawalt, you know how much I enjoy traveling with you and speaking. I love being on stages with you, and I think we make a great team. And that's another story for another time, but it's also great having you here in the podcast studio because we have very natural, very organic conversations. We come in unscripted, and some of your best episodes, the conversations we've had in the previous episodes, have been some of the most listened to conversations.
Nice.
You are the cooler, better looking, more dynamic version of DMB, but seriously, it is great to have you here in the studio to have a conversation that I think will be really, quite honestly, without going there quite yet, lighthearted. That said, tell us a little about yourself.
Yes. So my name is Casey. I get to work with Michael, get to work with all of our fraternities and spend lots of time doing life coaching for guys that are in college trying to live their best life, which is a lot of fun. Mostly relationship questions, to be honest with you.
Sure.
But today, we're going to talk about something a little more fun, which I'm excited for. LOL. Laugh out loud. Those are our 3 words for today.
Laugh out loud. I didn't think you were going to do the LOL thing, but that works because it is that. Laugh out loud. Isn't there other slang that goes with the LL? That
LOL?
Yeah.
Ha or a smiley face? I don't know.
I always do the smiley face emojis, but they're a little off. People say that's not the one you should use.
Do you do the parenthesis first and then the dots?
Yes.
Yeah,
and
so do I.
That's why. Yeah, okay. Anyway, you can train me on that later, Mr. Technology exec. Why are these 3 words important to you? Obviously, we laugh a lot together. We spend a lot of time together. But why specifically did you choose these words for our conversation?
Yeah, I think laughing is something that I try to make a part of my everyday. I recognize that there's part of it that's probably not intentional on my end. But at the same time, when I have a day where I have lots of moments where I laugh and I share stories with people and we find irony in this moment or that, my day becomes a lot lighter. It becomes a lot easier to navigate. So when I'm looking through the list of like, all right, what are the 3 words that speak to me? Laugh out loud. Yeah, I feel like when you and I hang out together, we always share laughs. We tell stories. We talk about what's going on in our lives, but we do so in a very lighthearted way. And for a lot of reasons, which we'll explore, it makes life a lot easier, a lot more manageable, and ultimately a lot more full. So there's lots of reasons that it benefits us, whether it's on a health level or whatever. We'll talk about those. But yeah, I picked this topic because I like to laugh. And it's funny because I think a big part of this is how we grow up and how we feel like we can express, like when we think things are funny or ironic or we're enjoying something. A huge part of that is what we're taught, whether we're yelled at when we maybe share our expressions or emotions, or we're encouraged to do those things. I'm grateful to have a mom who laughs at everything all the time. She'll like send me videos of random things on TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but I still see it and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's probably laughing her butt off right now in that chair. Nonetheless, I'm grateful that I had her growing up to show me what it looked like to live such a full life full of laughter, even in the moments that are really hard and challenging.
I'm going to hit pause right now in my conversation with Casey as we're talking about laughter. And I want you to forward this episode to maybe that person in your life who takes things a little bit too seriously. Now back to the conversation. Well, even for me, people make fun of dad laughs, right? It's like the laughs that are too loud or too weird and so forth. I don't know, just the uniqueness of people's laughs I find fascinating.
Yeah.
What comes out of people when they're feeling joy or even awkwardness or just wanting to kind of break the ice. I know for me, even I've used that in parenting. It's like when things are tense, if you can kind of joke about something or you can lighten the mood. I mean, we could do that in the office. We can do that in the locker room. We can do that in the boardroom. We can do that in the living room. Yeah. But I think particularly as life's been challenging, as we've navigated pandemics, as we've navigated social unrest, as we've navigated political craziness in our country, I think that we're just a little too serious. We need to laugh more often.
Yeah. You hit something there too. I think the laughter is, although it is a coping mechanism, and you may hear that and think like, oh, coping, that's a bad thing. It's not in some ways,
at all.
Yeah, exactly. So I think in some ways that is often my intuitive reaction to maybe negative things happening around me, is to try to find some laughter and some joy in the midst of it. And although that that could cause me to bury some of the negative things and not deal with them. I think ultimately it is a gift, because there is so much to be grateful for. It's so much to laugh at, to laugh with, so many people to laugh with, and to share just the great things that we get to experience in life, whether that's doing something fun, going somewhere cool, sharing a story about what happened to you last week and how funny it was or how ironic it was, whatever it may be. That just makes life more full.
Well, and I appreciate that you're talking about laughing and laughter as a gift, but it's not only a gift to others, it's a gift to ourselves, because there are so many benefits. Who would have thought, right? To actually laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Talk to us about some of those.
Yeah, we were just doing a little bit of research, like what actually happens. I'm not a doctor, but in the human body, like when you laugh, and the reality is there are endorphins that are released. Your blood moves faster. It allows you to think more clearly. It increases cardiovascular health. There's some studies out there, really interesting. I don't exactly know how they carried this out, but when you're in pain or experiencing something that hurts, to laugh actually alleviates some of that pain. On a biological level, it works, but also we experience it and we see that. So I find that really interesting, just from the trying to live your life every day and become a little bit better and live the best life you possibly can. To find moments where you can laugh throughout the day actually helps your body move and think and do the things that you want to do. And it's also fun. It feels good all at the same time. So I found that really interesting.
So I'm wondering, in light of this, I mean, we talk a lot about circumstances versus choices in DMB coaching here at 3 Words, and that we want to focus on our very next choice and the very next best choice. Like, is it weird to force a laugh then? I mean, I'm just having an honest conversation. I'm just trying to imagine a situation where it's feeling really tense and I just start laughing and just see what happens, because it can't.
Why are you laughing though? Because you're finding some humor in it, right?
Or even just I'm feeling really tense, and what if I just start laughing?
But I think you're finding humor in the sense that it's really tense right now. You're finding some irony in that. So I don't think you're forcing it. I think that's kind of you're finding, maybe I'm spinning this a little bit, but nonetheless, you're
let's go there.
You're finding the joy or the irony or this is kind of tense right now, right? Life's really short. This is hard, but let's all just take a deep breath and enjoy the fact that we're all here. And maybe that's not appropriate to say in certain circumstances, but I think what you're pointing out is, forcing a laugh really is maybe looking deep down at what is there to actually be grateful for, to laugh at, to see from a different perspective than maybe I am right now. And actions first, feelings follow. I've heard that said before, and sometimes that can be used to gaslight people. But in this case, I would say that probably is very true. On a biological level, from what I read, it seems to be really true.
Well, and so it has physical benefits. Yeah. It obviously has mental benefits. Yeah. It will improve our mental health. Yeah. It has, I would imagine, relational and social benefits, because when you're laughing with people, I'm assuming those bonds are going deeper. You're feeling more connected. It's stickiness in your relationship where you're I want to spend more time with this person because they make me laugh, or we laugh together, or we share these. Because again, laughter is about sharing memories. It's about creating togetherness. It's about creating spaces where we can just be more fully alive. We talk a lot about that. Yeah.
Doesn't mean you need to be funny. I think that's maybe a point to hit too.
Please.
Yeah, I think maybe a fear you may have, or I have sometimes, a social fear being around people, is there's someone who's really funny, right? And so everyone's laughing at them or with them, and you want to be the funny guy. Laughter isn't always about being funny. You figure out who you are, what makes you unique, what makes you different, what do you bring to the table? And there's an opportunity to engage in social interactions where you can laugh, you can bring joy. It might just look different than the quote unquote funniest person in the room. You don't have to be that.
No, I love that. Yeah. And I love how you continue through a lot of our conversations, Casey. You continue to highlight the most important facets of being fully human, and that is being yourself and being authentic and being the best version of you and not the best version of someone else. Has there ever been a situation, I'm just curious, where I know for me, I tend to laugh a lot, and my wife looks at me why are you laughing at that? I find a lot of things funny. Do you find that
inappropriate times you're oh, shouldn't be laughing right now? I mean, I can't think of an example, but obviously when people pass away, it's very morbid and sad, but I do think another thing that comes to mind is in the appropriate time and manner. I remember a friend of mine at work actually passed away, and he was just his Instagram bio was enthusiast of life. He loved life, and he was always laughing. You knew when he was there. And so we share these stories, right? And we laugh about some of the little isms that he had and that he would do. And you're just oh my gosh, this guy, right? We love him. We miss him. So a hard thing to get through, maybe an inappropriate thing to laugh about, but we're not laughing about that, right? We're laughing at the moments that we had with him. And it's almost the love that we have for that person is taking us through the grieving process in some way, and laughter is a huge part of that. So I'd encourage you not to miss out on that too.
Well, and I'm hoping there's times where I think I'm hilarious and I'll do things that the kids make fun of, and I say, I am so excited that the day's going to come where I'm not here anymore, and you're still going to be making fun of me. Because again, we've had various conversations in other podcasts talking about family relationships, human relationships, and how sometimes the greatest flattery, the greatest expression of love and care is the fact that I can make fun of you, because there's comfort and there's a sense of security there where I love when my kids make fun of me.
Yeah.
It's very endearing, and I just go, you're going to be laughing about this years from now. And
they care about you. They're comfortable with you. Yeah. They see the consistencies in which you are, and they poke fun at it. But we do that because, and I'm their friends. So we do that because we respect you, and I appreciate all that you had to say about me in the beginning. But I think what's so cool about everyone that gets to be a part of this podcast is they know you, they've gotten a chance to connect with you, and their life has been a little bit better because of it. So
thanks, Casey.
For sure.
I think one thing I wanted to mention too, that just came to mind as we're having this conversation in real time, is I think laughter is amazing, but I'm also presuming that you and I would agree that we don't want to be laughing at or joking about someone at their expense.
Absolutely.
For our own sense of like joy and happiness because we're making fun of someone.
Right.
And I think that there is, like you said, there's appropriate times to laugh. There's inappropriate times to laugh. But sometimes even I think because we're just working through grief and life's hard, sometimes laughter comes out in strange ways at unique times, and we don't want to judge people for that. But I think being intentionally making someone the butt of a joke that is mean-spirited obviously is not what we're encouraging today.
Because they're not going to laugh at that, right?
They're for sure not going to laugh at that.
And that's not helpful for them.
Well, they might laugh but in that awkward way, but then feel deeply crushed by that.
There's a sense of you can't not hear the things that are hurtful said about you, for sure. Yeah.
So let's give some final tips, final thoughts for our listeners. I think anyone listening surely would agree that we want to, laugh out loud, and we want to laugh more often, and we want to enter into the joy of our experiences in our life. So give us a final word. Yeah,
I'll give maybe just two practical tips. One of them in the tech space that I find fun. I have a couple group chats of friends where we just send funny things back and forth, and we comment, we talk about sports, we laugh. And obviously that's like in a non-face-to-face manner. So I would say on the other side, I would encourage you to put your phone away when you're with your friends and just enjoy their company. I think a big piece of this conversation is connecting with other human beings. And a lot of times our devices get in the way of that. And I think just stopping and asking people that you love and care about and that you spend time with, how was your day? Anything fun happened today? How is this? Following up. Those are what create those moments. You can't just like, tell me something funny, right? Like that. I get overwhelmed even thinking about trying to do that. I'd rather just tell you about my day, have a natural conversation with our phones set aside for a little while, and just and laugh that way. Because there have been rare moments in which I've set a phone aside, had a conversation with someone, and not laughed at least once or twice about this side or the other. So
I love that practical advice. Yeah. So thanks so much for being here, and I'm sure there'll be many more conversations to come.
Thanks.
We receive a ton of feedback from our viewers and listeners on how they have been blessed and encouraged by 3 Words Podcast, but I want you to hear from me as the host. We truly appreciate you. That's why we have even put together some extra content that we give away for free. We want to be a blessing to others at dmbcoaching.com/subscribe. If you go there, you can actually subscribe to our monthly newsletter. There's lots of other creative ways to connect with us on our website, and we want to continue to enhance our relationship with you. All that to say, thank you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.